Hello and welcome to the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Our guest today is Laura Locherspiel, and she's an acupuncturist. So today we're going to talk about alternative medical things that you can do to stay well and healthy. Welcome.
Thank you.
Did I get
Stephanie.
that last name right, Locherspiel?
Most people don't. It's kind of difficult. Locherspiel is a German Jewish name, and it's not easy to pronounce, so most people call me Laura, and that's fine.
Okay, Laura, so tell us exactly what you do as far as acupuncture. Who do you help?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for 23 years. I've been blessed to be given this ancient medicine, and so I have seen everything and anything under the sun that you can possibly imagine because of the years that I was in the treatment room, that I've been in the treatment room. So the ticket to the door is usually the most common things as back pain, shoulder pain, neck issues, digestive issues, allergies, weight loss. But when we go deeper, most people, and I was sharing this with you earlier, after the COVID, it seems like the stress levels, including anxiety and depression, has been off the roof. And most of my clients, what they say is that they have a sense of peace and a sense of ease in their bodies, regardless of the chaos that they have to deal with every day.
How does that work with the needles, and how would that?
Yeah, so think of, we are made of blood, fluids, muscles, ligaments, and tendons, and in addition of what the Chinese call the qi, or the energy, the life force, the life energy that makes us move, that makes us breathe. So these channels, which by the way, the NIH have proven that they exist, that's why they have acupuncture in main hospitals, they run along the blood vessels. So imagine that the rivers, that these energy channels are like rivers of energy that are going along every area of our bodies, along the blood vessels. When there is an issue, whether it's physical, emotional, psychic, karmic, we have those rivers of energy have blockages. And so imagine the needle being like a key, that when you place it, it opens that area where there is what we call stagnation for your own body's ability to heal itself. So it's really not the acupuncture doing the healing, it's allowing for your own body's wisdom to do the healing. It's waking up your internal GPS doctor, so the wisdom that we already are born with becomes alive again. And so we make wisest choices. We are more aware of the things around us, but also more aware of ourselves, the things that have served us and the things that may self-sabotage us and we might not realize. We began, yeah, go ahead,
and
sorry.
not to go into too much detail, how many channels do we have in our body?
Yeah, so total channels that we acupuncturists use the most are 14. Now, the most common channels to use are usually 12, and they correspond, 10 of them correspond to the organs in our body. So there is the channel of the liver, the channel of the gallbladder, the stomach, the spleen, the heart, the small intestine, the large intestine, the lungs. Then there is a channel that regulates our temperature and the homeostasis between our internal system and the environment around us. And then there is a channel that we call the heart protector, or the pericardium, that kind of protects the heart, which is the organ, is the kingdom in Chinese medicine. The heart is the king of our kingdom, sorry. So there is the heart protector. So that's in a nutshell the most common channels that we use.
And so is acupuncture something that you should be using on a regular basis, like massage or things like that? Or is it something that you should use when you're feeling bad, or a little bit of both?
It can be of both. It can be of both, because it's very easy in the world that we live today to become out of balance. the foods that we eat, the water that we drink sometimes, the air that we breathe, and then people's stresses. If you are in the belief that we're all connected, so if the people around us are stressed, we're going to feel that too. So it's not uncommon that people come once a week. The good thing about it is some insurances now do cover acupuncture. I'm right now just taking care first Blue Cross Blue Shield. The other ones I choose so far not to because it's not easy to work with insurance companies. But I also give discount packages for people that their insurances can cover, because for some people can be a replacement for going to other things such regular doctors or even therapy. Because in Chinese medicine, we look at body, mind, soul. So when you go to a therapist, and it's not that I'm comparing by no means, because it's comparing apples with bananas, but when we go to a counselor, it's all in the mind. We're trying to figure things out. And it might take years for someone to understand their own, call them shadows or sufferings in life that they're not able to resolve. Well, with acupuncture, what happens is we move energy. So all of a sudden, we're stuck in something, and you put a needle, and something changes in our body, literally, and all of a sudden, we have an aha, oh. So it's a medicine that encompasses the body, mind, soul. Now, like I said, the ticket to the door is usually physical. The most common, back pain, shoulder, neck pain, digestive issues. Unfortunately, the cancer rates are high, and I have seen a lot of cancer people. And as I was sharing, I became a holistic cancer practitioner after one of my clients died in a very horrible way. And I said to myself, this is not going to happen again under my wing if I can prevent it. So I went and I got a certification by the Edison Institute of Nutrition in Canada, and I became a holistic cancer practitioner to help cancer patients enhance their quality of life and also be educated about the foods, the diet, and the supplementations that they're good for them depending on the chemotherapy that they're taking. Because one of the things that I was blessed to learn is the molecular compound of each chemotherapy. So when doctors, for example, say, well, you shouldn't take any of the supplements, nothing, just in case, my understanding why they're saying that is because some of the holistic supplements or alternative supplements that people take that are anti-cancer could mimic the molecular compound of that particular chemotherapy. So you're adding to the chemotherapy, which already is doing all too much detoxing, and then you're adding even more of the same. So once I know the chemotherapy that the person is taking, we know what things not to take that is going to add, and things that are not in the chemotherapy as a detoxing compound, because chemotherapy, the molecular compound is detoxing. Unfortunately, some people don't make it because the doses are so high.
So what you're talking about, are you talking about acupuncture for cancer, or are you talking about counseling for what they should be eating nutrition-wise?
Yeah, so I know I kind of mix the two. When somebody with cancer comes to my treatments, we do both. We do the nutritional education and also the acupuncture. The acupuncture, again, enhances the immune system, the nervous system. You know how cancer can bring so much anxiety and depression and unnecessary suffering to the family. So the acupuncture can help the body's ability to heal itself and come back and go back into a peaceful state, no matter, like I said before, like I shared with you, no matter what kind of chaos we're facing, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, we're able to deal with things from a much grounded place.
Now, you also mix that with Chinese body work. You also mix the acupuncture with Chinese body work. How does that work?
So the acupuncture really works with the energy and the energy, not the structure, the energy, which is the blood and the fluids and the life chi force that I share with you. The Chinese body work that I do, I'm working with the structure. So I'm literally moving things around. I do things like tuina, shiatsu, trigger points, pressure points. So I'm using my hands to literally manipulate the body.
So it's like a massage technique?
If it might feel like a massage, but it's more specific to Chinese medicine. So Tuina is more pushing and pulling. Shiatsu, you go through the channels and you press on points that are more tender or points that you know that is going to help the person's symptom for whatever reason they come for. Trigger points. So yeah.
So you do a combination.
I do.
Of both.
Yeah.
What is what has it been most effective with? Has it been most effective with body aches, or has it been most effective with mental health?
Yeah.
What have you seen, or has it been effective with everything?
Yeah, it's a range. I think with everything. Now, some people have not been able to see many benefits maybe, but I believe that is if they're not willing to kind of change some of their lifestyle, because everybody has free will, and the acupuncture is not going to do things for you that you know that they can help the treatment. So somebody that is taking 15 medications and is eating, junk food and is complaining about things, but is also not willing to get out of their comfort zone, it might be more difficult for them to see results. So it's not really whether it works for mental, spiritually, or physically, because it works for those three areas. It really depends on how the person's lifestyle is, and also what their karma is. I mean, I believe everybody has a destiny, and sometimes you cannot help someone because it's not their destiny. For whatever reason, life is unknown in many ways. So I have to bow to that when I cannot help someone and I don't know why. For example, I have many ladies that have come throughout the years to want me to help them get pregnant. And I have been able to help some, and others I haven't. And, I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in God. And if it's not their karma to have a child, there's nothing I can do. And so, there is that peace. But for the most part, it works. It works.
So what do you say to people who, for example, are afraid of needles?
Try it once. I put one on myself sometimes, like on large intestine 4, which is like right between the index finger and the thumb, and I just tap it and I say, see? And if they're like, oh my gosh, and then I let them touch it because it's like really thin. Now, if somebody has phobia to needles, I don't see them in my office because they never go to acupuncture. But most people, after the first session, they're fine. There was one occasion I was helping in a retreat with men that were struggling. Well, they were in an AA program and they were struggling with drug addiction and alcohol and whatnot. So they were in a more sensitive place, and I put a few needles on one of the gentlemen and he fainted. But that happened once out of thousands of people that I've seen. And however, this person was already having a lot of fear in himself, and I don't know how clean he was, and I don't know how much of a shock that was for him and his body. So it was a good learning experience for me that sometimes I have to really pay attention to who I choose to put a needle on, because we might make the assumption that everybody, but if somebody's very fragile, no. And so that was a good learning experience because it never happened before. It's not a typical side effect. Like I said, I've seen thousands of people. This happened once, and it was in a retreat for men that were recovering from addiction. So
let's talk a little bit about you. You mentioned, or you talked briefly about what got you started with acupuncture. Let's talk more about that.
Yeah, so I'm from Argentina. I came here when I was 19. My father got a job here, and at the time they offered to pay half of my studies. So I went to University of Maryland, and I've been a dancer my whole life. I grew up as a ballerina, and I had all kinds of injuries from dancing, like 2-3 classes a day, and also I was dealing with anxiety from being in a different culture, speaking a different language, and I was only 19 years old. So somebody suggested to get acupuncture, and I went to this old Chinese lady in Rockville at the time, and by the third or fourth session, I just couldn't believe how amazing I felt. And by the third or fourth session, I said, I think you have opened my eyes to know what I'm going to do as a person for the rest of my life.
Wow.
So that was the beginning of it. And then I found out that one of the best schools at the time, which now is closed, but it was called Thai Sophia Institute in Columbia, Maryland, was here in Columbia, Maryland. And so it was, it's like one door open after another, and it was just like very, but it wasn't hard for me to get into the program, although it's a very, very rigorous program. It's not like massage. I'm not putting down massage therapist program, but we had a 4-year program with clinical studies, and one of the most challenging things in the program was you really had to know yourself to not put your stuff in the treatment room. So there was a lot of shedding of our own shadows and our own stuff. And that was the hardest thing, and because you really get to grow as a practitioner in that school. Had an amazing teacher who was like a surrogate father to me, and he was the founder of the acupuncture school when it originally started in the 70s. His name is Bob Duggan, and he brought the wisdom from China and England, and he also worked in Baltimore with people with addictions, opened a clinic which I still believe is running, called Penn North, for people with mainly heroin problems, because that's the main issue in Baltimore, and it's free sometimes. And so that's part of the program that we had to do when we were in school, is to either go to Penn North and do auricular acupuncture for addictions to people that were dealing with heavy core addictions and before the AA meeting started, or we would go to a jail and do that with the people in jail. So he was really hands-on. He just a very amazing man. So yeah.
So you have not just studied the acupuncture, you've studied many things.
Yes, because it's been 23 years. So I studied cancer with one of the most wisest acupuncturists, but also monks, Jeffrey Yuen, who brought Chinese medicine to the West through his family ancestry, to, like I said, study with some of the most amazing practitioners, not just in the Edison Institute, but other practitioners about how to help people with cancer, dealing with my own issues of being in a different culture and not feeling that I fit in, which I know it could be part of the root of why some people have so many, not I want to say illnesses, but disharmonies, is when you don't feel home in a place and you don't feel home in yourself, and then you start having physical symptoms or emotional. So because of my own journey, that also helped me to help others, but also drove me to continue to study and to continue to acquire knowledge, knowing that I always knew I was just a vessel, that it wasn't about me, that I wanted to be used to be of service to others. So the studies always they went on, and they continue.
And you mentioned earlier that you have to do, if you're getting the treatments for acupuncture, sometimes you have to talk about making some lifestyle changes as well.
The person, and I'm the more I've been in the treatment room, the more I realize I had to get myself out of the way for them to show up. A lot of times they find themselves talking about things and how they do things, and just by sharing, they begin to change. But if I start telling them what to do, it's kind of like they start going away, and they're going to, I don't know if it's human nature that we do the opposite of when somebody tells us what to do, versus allowing a space for somebody to show up and see themselves like a mirror and see their own conversations, and all of a sudden they realize what they're doing and what they're eating and how they're living their life because they're speaking it out loud. And it's like, wow. And that in my experience has been the most effective way, is for someone to find themselves by just expressing themselves and giving them the space for them to express whatever's going on.
So who should be receiving acupuncture?
Everyone. There is no limit. Everyone that is open. Everyone that is open to maybe reduce their medication, whatever that medicine is. Anybody that wants to understand how to manage stress and things like anxiety, insomnia.
That's another issue with people. A lot of people aren't getting enough sleep.
It's so common. And when we don't get enough sleep, our thinking is not the same. Our understanding of what we need for us is not the same. And when we are out of that internal wisdom, we cannot be of service to others either. So yes, it's very, insomnia is it's a very common thing. People come. Sometimes I recommend supplementations in addition with acupuncture because it might not be enough. The body is very stubborn, and when we get into a habit of not sleeping, it's like people say, well, I need a baseball bat to put me to sleep. I say, well, you don't need a baseball bat, but you might need some things that will help you not just relax, but for the body to stop creating cortisol and start producing melatonin. It's that shift that has to happen. And sometimes what we need is things like holy basil, or melatonin. Some people do well, other people not so much. Magnesium can help. Primrose evening oil. There is quite a few things that is, especially, I treat a lot of women. For some reason, women are the people that come to me, and after 40, so women
and
with
so
menopause.
women are dealing with menopause.
Exactly, and oh my gosh, when I was helping this Facebook group of women that had cancer, and they were going through the menopause symptoms because a lot of their medicines, whether were natural or not, were hormone suppressors. And they were saying that the menopause symptoms felt worse than the cancer itself because the anxiety, the night sweats, the insomnia, it's like it becomes torturous. It's like you're so unease within your body, and that's when acupuncture can help. It's like a wusa, where you start turning off all those receptors, those nerve receptors that you go, ah.
How soon do you see results?
Everybody is different. I would say two things about that. The first one is not everybody is as aware of the changes in themselves. So sometimes they have to dig and say, they might say, well, I don't notice this and I don't notice that. But they're not focusing on the things that are changing. And then if somebody has a habit of thinking negatively all the time, it might be more difficult for them to see it. However, you should be able to see it, and universally, sometimes immediately, and sometimes in 2 days. Now, interestingly enough, people that exercise more, or they're more in touch with their bodies because they're moving their bodies and they're not so much in their head, they notice things more because they are moving.
Mindfulness, yes. They're mindful of what's going on.
Exactly. So I always, I'm a cheerleader of exercise. I'm a personal trainer too.
You do everything.
Yeah, I
do
always.
Do you recommend that for your clients?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I just got my certification in 2020 because of the whole COVID thing. I closed my clinic for a couple of months, and I'm not a person that sits still. And I've always been hungry for learning to be able to help others. So I got my certification as a personal trainer with NASM. I haven't really used it yet, but I lived in Spain for a year and a half. Started 2022 and all 2023 until last October. And I was teaching 2 classes a day in there with yoga, and I wasn't doing personal training, but 2 people. It was more recovery personal training because the people that were the sicker were the ones that they were sending to me because of my experience with acupuncture and all of that. But yeah, and I loved it, and I can't wait to start teaching again, that I find the right community, the yoga and I like the aerobics, but the yoga was the thing that it just came out naturally. I felt like I was channeling divine intelligence, and people just love my classes, and I love teaching. I love the challenge too, and so that's something that I would like to start doing here also. I just haven't found the community. I've been praying about it, and I know it'll come in its own time, but yeah.
In wrapping up our discussion, what do you do a combination of the acupuncture, you do the Chinese body work. So these, and nobody's saying to throw your medicines out completely.
Right.
But you're saying that you can do this in addition to
yeah.
whatever it is you're doing to just help you reach that state of well-being.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the people that are going to be watching the show, I truly believe in divine intelligence. It's for a reason. Maybe they're ready to explore something else, and maybe they're ready to get rid of some of their suffering. That when things has not worked for you and you start looking for things, then the universe starts showing you things like an acupuncturist, hey, try it.
Yeah, but like you said, it's like people will be, the people who need to see this.
Exactly.
Will see it. The people who need help. And like you said, individuals are different.
Yeah.
Some people might respond to it in a positive way. Others, it may take them a little longer to respond.
Yeah.
But you're saying if you open those channels, you open a lot of possibilities.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. I've seen miracles, by the way, with acupuncture. I mean, I have seen people that are doing fantastic with cancer, and they came for acupuncture once a week. I can never say, oh, acupuncture cured them, but I know that I've seen miracles. There was a lady who her vision was not well, and I did some healing work because I'm also an energy healer, and I put my hand in her right eye, and her vision came 20/20. Only happened once, but it happened. So
yes,
miracles can happen. I'm just a channel here. That's
there
all.
are more miracles to come.
Yes, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I pray for those. Yes.
So, Laura, you have an office here in the Bowie area.
Yes.
And we'll give the information on how people can reach you at the end of the show. We'll put the credits there and see if this is a way that people can come to healing. They can come to healing in several ways. Maybe this is the way that some people can find. And what you were saying too is since COVID, a lot of people have been feeling, disjointed. They have been feeling, just out of sorts.
Yeah, and we can all feel it.
And it's going to take time.
Yeah. And we got to be here to tend to each other. My teacher used to say, we don't know ultimately why we're here, but there is one thing we know, that is that we're here to tend to each other. And that's what I'm here for. So
very good. Well, you've been watching the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. We've been talking to Laura Locherspiel.
You did it.
I did. Thank you for watching. You have a great day. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant.